The Gender Equality Bill has had a long, tortuous journey in the National Assembly. Senator Biodun Olujimi introduced the bill in 2016 during the 8th Assembly, but the bill was thrown out as some of the senators at that time argued that it would offend the sensibilities of religious adherents in the country.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
The proposed legislation is once again before senators in the 9th Assembly, and it appears its future is still uncertain. The Gender Equality Bill seeks to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women and guarantees equal opportunity, development and advancement of all Nigerian citizens, irrespective of gender.
The bill will also consolidate government and community protection and zero tolerance for violence in any circumstance, while promoting peace and harmony in homes where all its members are guaranteed equal access and treatment against discrimination.
However, two federal lawmakers argue that the bill mentions equality between men and women, which is against religious beliefs.
I will not support the passage of this unless until the word equal is removed. If we now have debate on the Gender Opportunities Bill, fine. But when you bring equality into it, it infringes into the practice of Islamic religion.
But some senators argue in favor of the bill.
For me, women are not only entitled to equal opportunities, it's not equality, but equal opportunities, but must be in fact and in practice.
The sponsor of the bill makes a concession, but it's not enough to sway her colleagues to pass the proposed legislation through second reading.
If the problem is the title, equal opportunities, that they do not want, then we can change the title and make it Gender Equity Bill.
We know that every bill, before it goes to public hearing, we will have the draft bill available. We do not have the draft bill before us. I don't want just to change the title only to conflict with the body.
Sensing that the bill may suffer yet another defeat on the floor, Senator Olujimi reluctantly gives in.
About 2-3 months ago, I had circulated copies of the bill. I believe the way to go is to step it down and see if we can convince the 2 or 3 people who are against certain aspects.
As Senator Olujimi again prepares to hold another round of discussions with her colleagues who have reservations about the Gender Equality Bill, many Nigerians will be questioning where federal lawmakers draw the line between lawmaking and religion. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Well, that's not exactly the meat of the discussion this morning, but it's a fitting place to start, given the issues at hand and given who my guest is. Aisha Yesufu is, well, she is a rights activist, but she prefers to be called an active Nigerian citizen. Only fitting, because I would think that, you know, when people realize that they have an office as citizens, then they become quite active. And you've chosen to exercise your rights as an active citizen. Welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that's one of the things that we were served yesterday from the Senate. It affects you and I. It affects all citizens, regardless of whether they're men or women, boys and girls, because gender is about all the sexes. But that's what we got on the floor of the Senate, specifically yesterday. How did you read it?
You know, Mope, I'm just trying to hold it in, and really, because it's so infuriating what I'm saying. And I'm looking at that, thinking about this Senator, Yesufu, I think that's his name. If he believes that women are not equal to men, how is it that he accepted the votes of the women that voted for him? He didn't say that they are not equal, and so therefore they should maybe reduce the numbers. So they know when the women are equal, when they need votes, women are equal, when they need somebody to go and protest, women are equal, when they need somebody to stand and do so many other things, women are equal. When they are looking for who we go around with them to campaign and all of that, you know, women are equal. But then when it comes to being treated as human beings, suddenly they remember that women are not equal. It's not just about the few people, the two people that spoke on the floor. It's about the silent ones who actually agree with him, who are not ready to fight for this bill. It's been a long time that this bill has been going. What is it that it's saying? Treat women as human beings. For every believing man, there's a believing woman. So what's he talking about? Islam is about equality. Islam is about equity. There are some places here where certain things are, for example, and I think that's the one that a lot of them use. When we talk about inheritance, in the case in Islam, a woman gets half of what a man gets, yes, but then there is a condition where a man, whatever a man has, he can't keep it for himself, it's for his whole family. Meanwhile, a woman, whatever she has is hers, she doesn't have to spend it. So you see, when there's a way, it's not as if to look at one thing from one angle, there's always something, you know, fitting it, making it work well. So when they come here and then they begin to bring in, oh, they remember religion when it is time for certain things that, you know, that supports their own kind of way of doing things. But they do not remember religion when it comes to giving good governance, accountability, and transparency. Let me even ask him, being a senator, is it part of Islamic way of leadership? Did the Prophet ﷺ have any situation where there were House of National Assembly, where there was the Senate and then the House of Rep? So why is he in a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Why is it that when it comes to religion, they know when it's something that they can benefit from, they do not remember to follow the religion strictly? Because the Prophet, the Quran, it's not there. The House of having a national assembly, it's not in the Quran. It's not in the kind of leadership that we have. And so all of these things, I just don't get. I think what this thing simply says to us women is that we need to be at the table. Enough of this nonsense of us being treated as if we are second-class citizens in our own country. Enough of this of us being treated as if we are not human beings. We are just chattels. You can see the way he was speaking. It comes from the way women are being treated, from the way where he comes from, where women are seen as possessions, that you take them, you can marry them after a while, you throw them out, you throw the children out, you say all of that. So these are the things that are going on. And I think from now on,
some people will say maybe it stems from a misconception, because oftentimes when people think about their relationship with their partners, with their wives, oftentimes they imagine that also extends to how they treat other women, yes, regardless of whether they are related to them or not. We understand that the dynamics of what happens in a home is sometimes different from the dynamics of what will happen, for instance, in a place of work. So how are we reflecting this in terms of how, you know, because oftentimes these biases sometimes come to play when we see lawmaking happening. So how do we begin to, you know, how do we begin to break down the walls of these biases, and how do we begin to, you know, reconceive this notion and separate what happens in our homes with regards to our beliefs and how the home is governed, separate from how, you know, will I say, public life should be?
I think that's a perfect one there, because most times when people think about it and they say, oh, the husband is the head of the house. Absolutely. My husband is the head of our house. But as a man out there, no, you're not my head. You're nothing. We are equal. The fact that there's a relationship between where it's just like when you have a boss. Your boss is your boss in an office, but that doesn't mean that whatever gender your boss is, every other person who is that gender is also equally your boss when you're not in that same setting. And like you rightly said, people need to separate that. Whatever happens in your house is in your house. When you're there, you go and do your lordship if that's what you want to do. Ironically, some of the things that we have is that unfortunately we have a lot of men who are actually boys playing at being men. They are not secure. And so they are threatened any person who is secure, you will not be threatened at another person getting equal opportunities the way that you're getting. What is wrong in saying that widows should not be treated in such heinous manners as we've seen in certain parts of the country, in places where, for example, a woman is denied even for her to inherit from her parents or her father or her husband and things like that. I'm from the southern part of the country. I'm from Edo State. In my side of the country, in my side of Edo State, it's Islam that goes up. And most times you find that when it comes to inheritance, they know how to put those the rulings aside and actually tell a woman that you don't have any right to inherit anything. The thing there's always a patriarchal way of interpreting even our religious scripts, and this has come off overweight. The same Senator Yesufu that is speaking will not tell you that Islam insists on child support. If you divorce a woman, you must give her child support. He will not talk about the fact that Islam insists on the fact that a woman has a right to her body, and if she does not want to breastfeed her child, she has a right not to breastfeed or ask for money. When they're talking about family law, Islamic family law, they do not remember that they are Muslims. Because why? The patriarchal interpretation of the Quran that they already have, it's out there and it favors them, and they don't want people to have the knowledge to do all this. But you know the thing about this thing? It's for us to look at this thing, no problem. They've said it. The reason why they said it is because of the number. The numbers that they have there. Olujimi was, lone voice speaking out there. If there were more women at the National Assembly,
she had a few men. In fairness, she had a few men speaking for her, or not speaking for her, because it's not really about her.
It's not about her.
It's not about her. It's about the bill. And there are a few men who understand what the bill is about. It's those who have seen the copies and be following the conversation, who understand what it's about. And we saw at least one of them represented in that particular report. It couldn't capture everybody who spoke, but at least one person we saw.
But let me say something that's quite funny. And that's the reason why we asked for open NAS right from the 8th Assembly, where where everybody is voting. The last time this bill was brought in, there was actually somebody who spoke up for the bill. But in reality, in private, he was saying that, no, that wasn't what he wanted to do. I remember speaking with him, and he was like, oh, no, you think I'm going to vote for this, and then the woman will be at the same level. I was like, trying to convince, no, this is not about, your woman being at the same level or not at the same level. It's about everybody just having the same level playing field. So we need a situation whereby not just people speaking, after speaking, what are they voting for? It was something that was of interest for their own selfish interest. Now, you will see them overwhelmingly supporting it. But this one here, people are ready to keep quiet, tokenism, say one thing or the other. But at the end of the day, if we're able to have more people, more women in the National Assembly, some of this discussion, it won't go the way that it's going right now. And so that's why we're calling on people to ensure, especially young people. The youth, you're saying back, without political power, it's absolutely, you're almost like nameless, faceless, and voiceless. You're like a poor person in Nigeria. And this is the time for youth, women, to begin to get that political power. Forget about the issue of Ashwebi. Oh, you're there, you're clapping, you just go there, and then the music, and at the end of the day, when you're voting, they don't tell you that your vote should be less than that of a man. Your vote is counted the same way. But when you're asking for that dividends of democracy, accountability, good governance, development, and all of that, they suddenly begin to tell you that as a woman, you are not equal, or as a youth, you should be seen and you should not be heard. So what is most important is that let people now begin to register. Let people begin to go there, register and vote. Political activism is something that every one of us must take on. We must all become political activists. We're either running for office, we're campaigning for those who are running for office, we're helping to raise money for those who are running for office, or we are making demands on those who have been voted into office. And so right now, registration is going on. Everyone, as long as you're 18 and above, go out there and register. And when the time comes, let's vote for credible candidates that will be there. And one of the things I say to people right now, we're down. There's nowhere we can go other than this place. We're already down. So even if you run and nothing, at the end of the day, we don't get many, we don't win, you don't win, or whatever it is, fine, we were where we used to be. But at least you know that you are doing something to change that situation that you used to be in. So it's very important for us all to register, to begin to participate in politics and not allow people who are still, somebody like Senator Yesufu, who is still thinking that because suddenly he genetically he's made in such a way that he's better than any other person.
Let us not personalize it as much as possible. But voting, you have decided to partner with ANAP Foundation, and you're going to be going around, I believe, to get more and more people to get their voters card. I'm wondering, I believe you've started already. In the places where you have been to, have people spoken to you about the challenges? Why it's been very difficult for them to be able to get their voters card, or why they seem disinterested in politics?
So let me just, before I go on to that, I think one of the things we have to, in this country, is that we need to take ownership. A senator stood on the floor in front of cameras, and he made a decision. He made his stance known. So he's ready to be called. And we would mention his name. Oh. And that if he does good, we will also mention his name. Indeed. It is what it is, and he has been in the history, the history books. In terms of registration, a lot of people are tired. A lot of Nigerians are disillusioned, especially now where people believed, in 2015, people believed that there was going to be change, and that change never happened. And so many people feel, what really are we going out for? What really are we voting for? And so a lot of people just seem not to be interested. And then there are also some people who, for them, they do not understand the relationship between governance and their lives. And so you have a situation whereby somebody, a woman, for example, let me take a woman, for example, who says ice fish. They have suffered, and she has sent her child through school, secondary school, primary, secondary, university. The child is out, and then there's no job. And then guess what? The religious slave owners that we have, I don't call them religious leaders, they are telling her that, oh, the reason why her child doesn't have a job is because of enemies. It's because of village people. It's because somebody is holding down that they should be praised, principalities and powers. Nobody is telling her that. It's because the government that you have, there's no expansion in the economy. There's contraction. And so because of that, people are losing jobs. And your child isn't getting. There's no, development that you're looking for. So she's not able to put them and draw the connection and connect the dots and say, oh, the reason why my child is because of this bad governance, so I need to get in good people with competence, character, and capacity that will be able to do this. So we have that disconnection. So people do not understand that relationship between governance and their lives. So these are some of the things that people need to get. And then, of course, it's hard voting, especially with the younger people. They want to do things. They are used to things being done. Before that, we'll be using firewood. Before you warm food in the morning, I remember growing up, you have to use firewood, put it on, put everything. Now they have microwave. In minutes, it's done. Everything of that is in minutes. And then you have this whole process where you have to go through the process of registering. For some of them, it's just like waste of time. But luckily, we have, online what INEC has started right now, so which is making it a whole lot easier.
The process is less cumbersome.
Yeah, it's less cumbersome, but it is still not as easy as it should be. For example, when my son registered here in Nigeria, when he was 19 when he did that.
I can trust that your entire family will be registered.
Yeah, of course they are. My son, but what he said was like, but mommy, why is this difficult? Because he said for his colleagues in UK that it got sent to them. And they were called, they had to register, they didn't go through this. He spent like 9 hours on the queue when he registered. So these are the things. If it could be made easier for them, yeah, they could easily do it. It's not supposed to be this like rocket science. And there's also a need for it to not just be one-off thing. Let it be a continuous. The day I turn 18, I should be able to walk into INEC office and register and get my PVC. And that's so it's something that should be going all year round seamlessly, everyone. So it's not a big cumbersome. But the thing is that there's also hope. There's also that, a lot of young people now are more interested in politics. They've seen, after NSAS, I think a good number of them realize that, oh, indeed, governance means everything. You can just be minding your business, and government policies will just come and affect you where you are. You can be minding your business, and then government policies will just pull the rug off you. And even when you're making demands, you will not be heard because of what the kind of people that you already have in government. So a good number of them are really interested and they're getting that PVC. But we are calling on everybody. And when we're talking about everybody, it means really everybody, the youth, whether the ones that we sometimes refer to as talks and all of that. We need to have everybody on board on Project Nigeria. And that's what ANAP is all about, ensuring that most especially young people realize the power that they have. Because every country that we have, it's always driven by the young people. You know, they're idealistic, they have time, they are not sort of like weighed down by life and responsibilities like when you get older. And so they have the passion, they have the energy for them to do. And especially, you know, the Nigerians, they have intelligence, they have technology, they have creativity. We've seen what they did with NSAS. Imagine if you bring all of that awesomeness into governance, the kind of things that we have in Nigeria. In no time, our story we easily change. But so what we need to do is to ensure that we are participating in the political process, and that's what we are calling on young people to come out and register.
I find it interesting that you are appealing to the young demographic. I'm going to let my colleague come in very soon before he calls me after this program. But you know, I find it interesting that you are appealing to a demographic of young people, even though you didn't exactly start your activity. You know, you didn't exactly start activating your office of the citizen at a youthful age. Why is it difficult to appeal to, say, the demographic which you currently belong to?
Okay, so it's about the 80-20 rule. So right now we have the youth demographic. They are the one, they have the largest number. And if you really want to make that shift that we need in Nigeria, that positive shift in terms of politically, we need to look at that demography. And they have the capacity to get a lot of things done. So it's like the low-hanging fruit. And so if you're in anything that one is, you have to be pragmatic, and then you have to look for what is that thing that will work best. For me, in terms of active citizen, I started, my first protest was actually in 1992. I was, how old was I then? I think about 17, 18. Because I was born December, so it's always sometimes difficult to calculate these things, so annoying. And so I was like, I was in the university. And I remember when I was going, my parents were like, yeah, we know you. Don't go there and go and protest. I was like, no, I won't protest there. Of course, when I got there, the first protest, I was there and the school was shut down. So for me, that active, but the thing is that because I grew up poor, I needed a place where, and if you're poor in Nigeria, you're nameless, faceless, and voiceless. And I needed to be able to have that financial independence for me to even have a voice. And so I do realize the fact that there's quite a number of people and I tell people that don't have the luxury of, you know, believing in Nigeria. They don't have the luxury of saying, let's go and be active citizens. Because why? They're trying to survive every day. For them, going out and earning a living and being able to put food on the table is actually their way of being active citizens. For them, that's their protest. That's their demand for good God. That's their everything. That's the only thing they can do. So I understand that part. And for me, I became an active citizen after I turned 40. And I realized that, and that was 8 years ago, and I realized that I had become the problem of Nigeria. So I have an understanding of, you know, there are some people who, there's a demography right now who, for them, they do not have that luxury to be able to focus on that. But also, we have the middle class in Nigeria, the missing elite. They are nowhere to be found. Because they think sort of like, oh, they're in their cocoon and they are okay. And, you know, they can, if there's no electricity, they get their joint. If there's no water, borehole, no good quality education, they send their children abroad and do all sorts of things. And so they think they are immune from the bad governance that we have in our country. But right now, with the issue of insecurity, every one of us is realizing that we are not immune. We are all in this, and we are affected by the policies that are made by government, because even while you're doing your business, government policies will also come and affect you.
Well, Ayo.
Well, thank you, Markwe. I'm going to make this brief, and I don't know how much time because we're running out of time already, madam, but just one question for you. You know how seriously the trust quotient between young people and government at whatever level, federal, state, local, has become over the years. So I'm wondering, what would be your recommendation of an impetus, of a motivation, of the catch why young people should do what you're asking them to do. It is a good thing to do. It's the civic right. But then the trust quotient has gone so low that as far as many people are concerned, when it has to do with government, they don't want to have anything to do with it. So how do we persuade people? How do we bridge that trust gap?
Oh, okay, so when we're talking about the trust issue, it's not just even with the government. There's also a gap between parents and the youth. Because one of the things I always say to people is that the first set of dictators that most Nigerians came across were actually parents. And so you were not allowed to have a voice, you were not allowed to do anything. There's no democracy in our houses. And so people grow up, expecting that, oh, okay, when government is doing a lot of things on them, oh, that's the norm because they're used to it, the adults around them did it, the teachers did it and all of that. So yes, there's even amongst the older generation and the younger generation, there's a huge divide. But I think with what we saw before 2020, I would have said to you, it's going to be difficult. But after October 2020, and the youth did see how having the wrong kind of people in government, what it can do to the lives of citizens. So a lot of them have that incentive for them to begin to, and they're already taking their own initiative to say, we want to be part of governance. We want to vote for, we want to be voted for. And so for me, the incentive for them is that, look, if you do nothing, you have more years to be in this Nigeria. I'm 48 years old. I know our NAFTAC number, we're needing renewal. For a lot of young people, you're just starting life. And even if, yes, now people are talking about Japa, not everybody can Japa. People have been Japaing since 1960s, but yet, not because the world cannot take all of us. Some people have to be left here. So it is important for us to work, for you to work for this nation that you want, and you can't get it. And the youth have seen that they have what it takes. Like I said earlier, they are intelligent, they have creativity, they have social media, they have technology, they have crowdfunding capacity, and they have organizational skills. And if they deploy it to politics, they can actually make that difference. And they have a whole world view where there are so many things that can be done, and they can do it. And one of the things is that, ironically, I was saying to was it my husband, I said, look, in the days where the older generation were needed in governance, Africa actually had youth. Now that you find that are more of younger generation, and we are still having the old people who were there as young people. So it is time now for the young people to just come together and begin to ensure that the right people get into power. And when we're talking about the right people, it's not about religion, it's not about tribe, it's not about gender, it's not about age. It's ensuring that people with competence, character, capacity, people who have courage, people who are patriotic, people who believe in Nigeria, people who know that there is a word that is out there and we're lagging behind, and we need to catch up fast and have them in office. At the end of the day, we'll all have the country that we're waiting for, that we're looking for, and not just relying on praying. Because right now what you have, a lot of people are sitting down, they're praying to God to fix Nigeria. You're telling somebody and the person is saying to you, oh, nothing can happen. The only thing that can happen in Nigeria is prayers. And then a few minutes later, you get a text message. The person is asking for help, and you're wondering, why didn't you just pray and not send text? Why did you pray and act upon it? The same way we need to pray for Nigeria also, we need to act upon getting a good nation that will be beneficial to all of us, where the child of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody.
I know that phrase. I've heard it so many times. Thank you for constantly reminding us of that. And we've been speaking with Aisha Yesufu, who is an active Nigerian citizen. Well, we know how active you've been. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise this morning.